If you were one of those fans that spent hours reading Wikipedia, then you weren't alone, and that's why the Star Wars Battlefront II trailer has everyone speculating about the upcoming game. The trailer had tons of tiny details that started to get the wheels turning about what could possibly be included in Star Wars Battlefront II. We're hoping that all it might be able to sate our curiosity until we can actually play the game. If you've been looking to venture over to the dark side, don't forget to join our notification squad. We'll have you covered with updates on when we release new content. And while you're at it, subscribe to our channel to have the strength of the Force on your side. Different melee attacks. We currently have two different melee attacks to work with in Star Wars Battlefront. There's the bow rifle that stabs, or you can use your fist to eliminate your enemies. You can either eliminate your enemies by melee attacks in Star Wars Battlefront, or by giving them a one-shot to the stormtrooper helmet. This means your enemy will be killed with just one hit, although it's much more common to find that it will take 2 hits to kill your enemies, since melee attacks normally cause 50% damage. We hope to see a few additional melee attacks for Star Wars Battlefront 2. There's a brief moment in the trailer where an Imperialist kicks his enemy in the head, and we might be getting just what we want. Now, this could just be me jumping to conclusions again, because sometimes people just like fight scenes to be extremely dramatic, and what better way to do that than having someone take a kick to the face? And we all know that any melee attack to the head is basically a one-shot kill, so that small scene definitely scores some wow factor to anyone that's watching. Also, I can't imagine a 24-player battle that has a bunch of obnoxious players trying to kick each other in the head to take down their enemies. It would be hilarious, but probably not the best way to use your time playing the game. New vehicle additions. We have to admit that what Star Wars Battlefront was really lacking in was a variety of vehicles, even though the Star Wars universe features plenty of choices. We're hoping that Star Wars Battlefront 2 will give us a better variety. There's plenty of speculation about what new vehicles will be added to Star Wars Battlefront 2, but there were two curious vehicles in the first 10 seconds of the trailer that may have caught your attention. What was possibly a Rebel capital ship flying just ahead of the main character's ship, and a super Star Destroyer parked just outside of the Death Star. Now, I don't know about you, but I would be incredibly excited and proud to get to fly around in that super Star Destroyer in Star Wars Battlefront 2. It's not going to be a definite addition to gameplay, but it's just another Star Wars fantasy that we'd all like to be able to live out. It was also revealed that tanks would be a part of the gameplay, so it's no wonder that there has been some awesome concept art circulating around with the armored assault tanks. TAUNTAUNS will likely play similarly to how horses were used in Battlefield 1. That small glimpse we saw of Luke's speeder from A New Hope in the trailer would be an amazing vehicle addition if that's in the books. We're hoping that the upcoming game will more than make up for the limited vehicle selection of Star Wars Battlefront. R2-D2 missing story arc. One of the main questions that circulated around in many fans' heads after watching The Force Awakens was what happened to R2-D2. This is probably a bit of a stretch, but the moment we caught that small glimpse of R2-D2 hanging around behind Luke Skywalker in the Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer, we had a new hope that needed to be restored. We'd love to see what happened to R2-D2 after Luke Skywalker disappears. R2-D2 seems perfectly normal in this cutscene, so maybe we'll get some answers on how he ended up in his coma-like state of low power mode for years after Luke vanished. The moment that we discover what happens of R2-D2 at the Resistance base, we sink into a deep, dark depression. But luckily, we get to see him happily wake up with his cheerful bleep bloops by the end of the movie. There's plenty of unanswered questions regarding R2-D2's state, and if we don't get an answer in Star Wars Battlefront 2, some pretty angry fans are going to have to resort to writing their own fanfiction. And nobody wants that. TAKODANA. We'll briefly get to see a scene where a Millennium Falcon is chasing down some TIE fighters on TAKODANA. Again, the TIE fighters shot could just be for dramatic effect, and maybe we won't get to take part in any epic vehicle battles. It could just be added to the story, and since they're not part of the First Order, there's also the question of whether this is just multiplayer sandbox mayhem for our enjoyment. If TAKODANA becomes a playable map, it will also hopefully feature some epic vehicle battle scenes. In the background of the vehicle fight scene is a quick glimpse of Maz Kanata's castle. Maz Kanata is a pirate that has survived for thousands of years and becomes an important character in Star Wars Episode 7 The Force Awakens as she helps Rey and her friends hide from their enemies. The castle is destroyed after the First Order attacks it to try to reclaim droid BB-8. We can hope that the castle and Maz Kanata will make an appearance in Star Wars Battlefront 2. Starkiller Base. The platform that General Hux used to command the First Order in The Force Awakens and show off the planet's superweapon is part of Star Wars Battlefront II. Since the game will include part of the sequel trilogy, it would feel wrong to not include the planet-destroying base of the First Order. We're wondering if there will be both in-air and on-ground combat, since The Force Awakens did feature X-Wing and TIE fighters battling it out in an epic manner. This would definitely be an addition that we would like to see, but if we're just limited to combat on the ground, it would be varied enough between the Snowy Forest and Starkiller Base to hold our interest. The dark, snowy mountains would give us that hide-and-seek style combat that we enjoyed when we had larger areas to work in, while the Starkiller Base would vary by bringing us into a close combat style. Either way, gamers would find something that would work with their playing style. Although nothing would make us feel better than having a hero battle where we get to control the powerful Rey against the menacing Kylo Ren, or vice versa, if you prefer the dark side. We all feel like we need to avenge Han Solo at this point. Planet VARDOS. Urban Combat Introduction. Star Wars Battlefront II introduces gamers to a new planet, VARDOS, which has deep ties to the Empire. The planet is also home to the main character, Iden Versio, who happens to be the commander of Inferno Squad. It's definitely got a more modern and structured appearance than many of the other planets we've seen previously. As complex as the planet and the new urban combat battles will be, they may not hold a candle to Versio. We know very limited information about her background so far. We do know that she has plenty of questions about the Empire. She'll also be in charge after their defeat and the destruction of the second Death Star. Versio will be set on hunting down the people responsible for the Emperor's demise, mainly Luke Skywalker. There will likely be a major battle on Versio's planet that will seem to make her fight against the rebellion even more personal. We're excited to step away from the open sandbox style to enter the chaotic complexity that will come with fighting in an urban environment. It's also going to be interesting to see a planet that's peaceful, as it believes in the agenda of the Empire. This is the first time we'll get to see a planet that has willingly joined the Empire and has imperialist loyalty. It'll be a great addition to the Star Wars universe that will also introduce urban combat that's been missing in Star Wars Battlefront. Rideable TAUNTAUNS on HOTH. Did anyone see that brief snippet of a TaunTaun being ridden on the snowy plains of Hoth? It only lasted for a few seconds, and then, like an old Jedi mind trick, was supposed to be wiped out from our memories.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
TaunTauns will be rideable mounts in the game, and we couldn't be more excited. Remember that time when the Alliance to Restore the Republic established new headquarters on Hoth? TaunTauns became domesticated for a number of different reasons. They were beneficial since the planet's frigid temperatures would occasionally shut down the T-47 airspeeders in the morning. Of course, the TaunTauns, which were kept in pens, were released from captivity once the Galactic Empire invaded during the Battle of Hoth. All we really want to see is Luke Skywalker utilize a TaunTaun to venture to the Dagobah system to find Yoda. That's not too much to ask for. Unless, of course, the TaunTauns and the vehicles are map exclusive, in which case we'll have to save that fantasy for another day. New characters for Hero, Player, and Story Mode. The trailer featured a few new faces that weren't part of Star Wars Battlefront. These new faces included Rey, Kylo Ren, Yoda, and Darth Maul. This leads to the revelation that Star Wars Battlefront II is going to be played across multiple eras, and that's reason enough to go out and pre-purchase this epic game. Another addition will be that these hero characters will now have their own career paths, allowing players to unlock new abilities for the heroes. If there is anyone we're excited to play in the game, it has to be Darth Maul. Ever since we first saw him in Phantom Menace, we instantly felt drawn to this dastardly villain. We're all wondering now if players will be put into the battle between the Gungans and the battle droids on Naboo, since Darth Maul did have one of the most epic lightsaber duels during the Battle of Naboo. Maul was set on taking over the Galactic Republic to destroy the Jedi with the help of his mentor. The Trade Federation was sent to invade Naboo as retaliation for taxation of trade routes in outlying Republic star systems. Qui-Gon Jinn and Obi-Wan Kenobi are dispatched to remedy the situation where they meet Maul and have one of the best lightsaber duels ever. All we know is that the addition of these new characters will be a welcome relief, since the Hero Battles mode could use an upgrade, since it isn't one of the most impressive features of Star Wars Battlefront. Multiple eras. The beginning of the trailer reveals that we're going to start our journey right after the climactic conclusion of Return of the Jedi. The player will be playing as Iden Versio, commander of the Inferno Squad and part of the Imperial Guard. A new soldier's story pops up on the screen, and we might assume that there will be a new structured campaign as a result. This will hopefully add a new dynamic to the game since we'll get to fight in the Imperial side and see an entirely new take on the Star Wars universe. There's plenty of evidence from the video suggesting that Star Wars Battlefront II will span different eras, and that's not just limited to the multiplayer. The story will go from Endor to Starkiller Base for sure, and multiplayer includes Rey running through a sequence with her lightsaber, Yoda and Darth Maul's stare-down with lightsabers drawn, and the TaunTaun that tramples a stormtrooper. There's a lot riding on the perfect synchronization of these eras, especially with the knowledge of the Star Wars universe that most Star Wars fanatics hold near and dear. We're also wondering how far back DICE is willing to go here. Maps from The Force Awakens will be a definite possibility, and there will probably be some tie-ins from Star Wars The Last Jedi. This film should be making its way into theaters a few weeks after Star Wars Battlefront 2's release, and we know that this game wouldn't be complete with a Hoth map, so that means the original trilogy will see some representation. What we're all wondering is how DICE is going to use the prequel trilogy to incorporate the Gungans using stones against the droids. Is it even worth adding in with all the other cool source material that could be used? Let us know in the comments. ID9 Seeker Droid. What Star Wars series would be complete without the main character having some kind of droid to get them through the chaotic mess of their current mission? It's no different with Iden Versio's ID9 Seeker Droid. You may have noticed the droid attached to her back when she turns around in the trailer. Versio has a team of top-notch soldiers that she's in charge of. Not only are they hybrids and experts as both fighter pilots and on-ground combatants, but they're also well-versed in the Empire's tech and gadgets. Since we know Versio is set on capturing rebels to avenge the death of the Emperor, this small Imperial droid will be extremely helpful. The seventh sister from Star Wars Rebels was tasked by Darth Vader to track down and kill any surviving Jedi Knights, and she used these same droids to try to accomplish her mission. It only makes sense that Versio would also use the small but deadly droid on her own missions. The ID9 Seeker Droid is an incredibly versatile weapon as it is used to track down and subdue specific targets. It's also very crafty as it can imitate other droids, and if that doesn't impress you, it also has a built-in voice recording function to record dialogue spoken. James Bond's best spy technology has got nothing on the ID9 droid. If you're a tech geek, you're especially going to enjoy Star Wars Battlefront 2, since we have a feeling the ID9 Seeker Droid flying around with the main character isn't just a special effect, but it'll serve as part of a moment-to-moment gameplay experience. What new additions do you hope to see in Star Wars Battlefront 2? Are there any gameplay aspects of the 04 and 05 Star Wars Battlefront versions that you'd like to see included? Remember, you are one with the Force, and the Force is one with you. As always, thanks for watching, and we hope you'll join us next time for even more Star Wars and video game content.